Hey folks, Trouble T-Cat here, and DICE have just announced a new update for Battlefield 6 coming out on April 14th at 9 a.m. UTC. And I'm just going to read through the patch notes, and I've sort of really briefly skimmed these, but I haven't actually read most of these yet. And basically give my impressions on how this patch is looking. To address, maybe there's a little bit of an elephant in the room for any of my longtime followers, when I haven't made any, like, substantial videos in, like, 10 years or something. Hi, I'm back for the moment. I'm going to be doing some coverage of Battlefield 6. I'm currently working on a full review of the game in its current state. And I've also been live streaming over on twitch.tv lately, playing some Silent Hill F in the nights, Australia time. Anyway, in terms of Battlefield 6... just to give a real brief overview of my impressions, as I said, I'm working on a full review, but my basic opinion on the game is I am enjoying playing it, but they started out really strong with this game with a lot of positive sentiment around launch and around the beta, and the feeling that with a little bit of work, this could be a really, really good entry into the franchise. You know, basically there was a feeling that there were some issues, but there was a lot of potential here. And unfortunately, the sentiment post-launch, and I agree with this general sentiment, is that Battlefield Studios have fumbled really, really badly. They have not managed to address the bigger problems with the game. In some cases, they have made mistakes, I think, in terms of balance changes they've made. And it's just generally been fumbling the ball on the biggest selling game of last year. I'll talk more about that in the full review. But let's get into these patch notes and see if they are managing to address, finally, some of those bigger complaints that I have and that other people in the community have had. This is kind of the big Season 2 Part 3 update. We already knew we were getting a limited time mode, a new vehicle, battle pass bonus path, a few other things. And they say here that alongside the new content, the update also delivers a wide range of gameplay, progression, UI, audio, and portal improvements to further polish the overall Battlefield 6 experience. That is the thing I'm most interested in. I don't really care about the time-limited mode or like a new car. I mean, we'll look at that stuff. But the game really needs some work on the core experience. Let's see what they've got for us. What do they say about the time-limited mode? The battle for Hagental Base has begun in Operation Augur. NATO launches a desperate push to reclaim its satellite defense network. The fight begins in Contaminated, where forces can use VL-7 smoke to disrupt defenders and create openings across the front line. From there, the battle descends into Hagental Base, where the fighting shifts into tense. Operation Augur is all-out warfare across 2 phases of combat, where strong... So this actually sounds a little bit interesting to me. It sounds like the way this mode is going to work is that you actually play through 2 maps sequentially with a kind of attacker-defender style gameplay. The concept of having like sort of longer campaign-type modes is something we have seen in a few Battlefield games in the past. I would be more interested in this if this was going to be an actual new, like, operations game type, rather than a time-limited mode. But whatever, I'm sure I will play that, and we'll see. I will probably do a little bit of a video about this mode when it actually launches. A new vehicle, so this is just basically a new Jeep. Supports your team with spawn functionality and health and ammo resupply stations with 4 seats available. So this is going to be a mobile spawn point. Just in general, though, I don't think this is that interesting. It's not clear to me that this is doing anything a whole lot different from the current armored transport vehicle. New weapon, a new melee weapon, I don't care. New training path in RedSec Battle Royale. I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to cover RedSec, I don't care. I'll talk about it a little bit in my review, but we're not talking about it here. So, major updates for the patch. New content arrives. Yep, we've looked at that. Progression feels more rewarding. Weapon and vehicle XP now earned through active use alongside kills and assists. I mean, that should have been the case from the beginning. XP rates have been increased slightly. I don't care. About the progression thing in general, like, there's a segment of the community that were harping super hard on, like, how long it takes to unlock the weapon attachments and things in this game. It's not something that I cared about that much. I thought it was fine on launch. I think it's fine now with the changes that they made. I get that it was a big deal for some people. I care more about the core gameplay experience. I feel like all this time they've spent on the weapon progression and stuff is not the things that really matter when vehicle balance and class balance are so jacked up. Combat feedback and gameplay clarity. Incoming hit audio is now clearer, rapid damage is easier to read, projectile and tracer behavior is more consistent, and network warning indicators now provide better visibility during live combat. I mean, this mostly sounds okay. If you get really into this game, you will start to notice that there are for sure issues with the netcode, inconsistencies with audio, inconsistencies with how time to death feels. So that's good. We'll get to the specifics of that. I think that adding the network warning indicators is not really, the solution here should be improving the networking experience, not adding warning indicators to let you know that it's fucked up. I can tell. But whatever. Weapons and gadgets receive a broad polish pass. That sounds a little more promising. Defibrillators and the med pen have been updated. Okay, so defibrillators seemed fine to me, but we'll see what they changed. I don't think they really needed anything changed, but whatever. The med pen, if I'm correct in thinking that this is the main assault gadget, adrenaline injector, this is something that has been absolute garbage since the game launched. Basically a totally useless class ability. So I'll be interested, if that is what that's about, I'll be interested to see how they've changed that. Cutting in with another quick edit here. So from what I can tell, actually, this AJ03 Coag med pen is not the assault adrenaline injector. I'm pretty sure this is actually just the injector that you use to revive teammates if you're not support or if you don't have the defibrillators. So the assault adrenaline injector, still no changes on that. That's still just going to be dog shit. And these changes to the med pen, I'm going to cut out the section later where I talk about them because I was talking about the wrong thing. Suffice to say, these changes don't matter either. So this is more of the patch just being fucking nothing. Attachments, animations, unlock, presentation, and challenge tracking have all seen further improvements. Unlock, presentation, challenge tracking. Okay, well, I'm curious to see of these things what they've done with the attachments. Particularly UI, HUD, and front-end improvements. The UI does suck in this game. It's real garbage. I am doubtful that the improvements here will be meaningful, because what they really need to do is, like, go back to the drawing board and restart and not try to make it look like Netflix for some reason, but we'll see what they did. Portal, don't care about Portal. AI, don't care about the bot support. Audio and settings enhancements. Audio has received further polish, okay? I mean, there are some remaining audio issues. Controller tuning support, Dead Zone's draw tool. I don't play with a controller, so that doesn't affect me. Let's get into the specifics. Let's see. I'm not going to read every little change here. I'm going to scan through and look for things that actually sound meaningful to me. I am reading them all. I'm not going to read them all out. Lasers and flashlights now enter a short cooldown after repeated rapid toggles to prevent input spamming. Was this a problem? Maybe it was? I don't know. I've never noticed any issues with that. Soldier acceleration curves have been slightly adjusted to better support 30 Hz experiences. Well, so the issue here is there shouldn't be 30 Hz experiences. Just run all the servers at 60 Hz, and you wouldn't need to waste time on improving the 30 Hz experiences. I think that EA probably has enough money to pay for better servers. Hit damage feedback audio now plays more promptly when taking incoming fire. That should reduce a little bit the feeling of just getting insta-melted if the audio feedback of you're getting shot was delayed in a lot of cases, then that could be a problem in terms of reacting to being shot, so that's good. Network bandwidth usage has been optimized, so more weapon data can be sent with a single update. I mean, that might do something. Okay, I mean, there's a bunch of those are all really small, and I don't know if that's going to matter that much. Added the LTV, a new NATO variant of the Traverser Mark II APC. Yeah, I don't think... So it is just a new variant of the armored personnel carrier we already had. I really don't care about that. Scout helicopter. This thing was insanely overpowered when it was first added, so what's going on here? Basically, I'm reading this as some nerfs to the scout helicopter, which, fine, it was overpowered. Gadgets. Urgent low battery sound of the night vision goggles. Do they even matter? The time-limited mode where you use the night vision goggles is leaving the game. So, this, I mean, who cares? Like, it's literally going to be gone when this patch comes out. So, good for the next time they add a night mode, I guess? Okay, none of this is anything. Okay, so the defibs get a huge section. Alright. Basically, they've nerfed the ability to revive like 800 people in 2 seconds. And they've made it so you can one-tap people with it again occasionally as like a goofy way to kill somebody. I mean, this seems fine to me. Like, there's no doubt that the defib was great, and I don't mind them making it so that you can't revive 800 people in 2 seconds anymore, but this also just, this doesn't strike me as an important change. Like, this wasn't a problem with the game, compared to things like vehicle balance and every weapon feeling the same and so on and so forth. Okay, what do we got for weapons? Added a machete, yeah, whatever. A couple of little bug fixes. Made the hollow point and synthetic tip ammo a little bit less expensive. That seems good. I mean, these headshot ammos don't really do a whole lot in most cases, so making them cheaper makes sense. But they're still not going to do much in most cases, so, eh. Okay, so you get weapon XP when you're just using the gun, not only from kills anymore, so that makes sense. It probably should have been that way from the beginning. That's fine. This is a lot of stuff about progression, and I just don't think that the progression is in that much of an issue. This is some fixes to the weekly challenges, which I have thought have been fine, if a little not that interesting, but they're fine. Red Bull challenge setup. I don't care about the sponsored content in the game. Okay, whatever. It's UI and HUD. Anything in here that I care about? Some fixes to ways to pay them. Of course, those are always high priority changes. Yeah, so this is basically a lot of little minor things where the UI was a little jank that they fixed up a little, which I guess I appreciate, but none of this is really... I wonder if there's going to be something buried in here that actually matters to me, and I'm just missing it because I'm trying to skim through all this, like, all this stuff that barely matters. Oh man, they improved the VoIP consent flow. Well, you know, the VoIP consent flow was a pretty big problem. So that's good. Settings, controller settings, corrected campaign settings. Do people play the campaign? Like, I did start it up, and it sucked, so I didn't finish it. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that they're fixing a lot of minor bugs. You know, I like to have the game have fewer bugs and be more polished, but with where the game is at right now and the general sentiment in the community and stuff, I was really hoping to see something bigger in this update, especially since this is like the big update, the third big update for Season 2, and there's very little actual added content. There's no map, there's no weapon that anyone's really going to care about. Like, nobody cares about the melee weapons. The new vehicle isn't even really a new vehicle. It's a slightly different armored personnel carrier, and again, what, like, who cares? Audio. Tall grass surfaces now play the correct audio more consistently when appropriate. Okay. I feel like with a lot of this, it's like they must know that a lot of this stuff doesn't matter, and they're just trying to make this look like a big patch by, like, we're shoving in all these little tiny fixes, you know? So, okay. So what's good about this patch? This limited time mode sounds okay. It would be more interesting if this was going to be a permanent new operations game mode. The new vehicle is a nothing burger of an addition. The new weapon is a melee weapon, and I really don't think anybody cares. The progression stuff, this reads as totally fine to me, but it's not important to me. I know that there are people that this matters to a lot more than I do, but for me, the core gameplay experience still really needs improvement here. Don't care about Battle Royale and Gauntlet. This stuff about the combat feedback and gameplay clarity, this might make the game feel a little bit better. You know, I'm glad that they're doing this kind of stuff. I think this does matter, but it seems like it's a pretty small improvement. The weapons and gadgets receive a broad polish pass. It doesn't feel that broad to me, to be honest. Like, it's a lot of... I guess what they mean is there are a lot of little bug fixes here. There's a bit of a nerf to the defibs, which I don't have a problem with, but they weren't one of the big issues with the game, so... UI, HUD, front end. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is jank in the game right now, and making this stuff less jank does make the game feel better. But, you know, at the end of the day, considering we're getting pretty much no meaningful new content in this update, I was really, really hoping for some bigger changes to vehicle balance, which is a huge problem in this game. Or some more work on the general weapon balance to differentiate weapons a little bit more. Or they've been talking about the idea of adding more locational damage to the damage model. That would have been nice. Alongside, you know, their last community update, which announced pretty much nothing new. Yeah, it seems like Battlefield Studios are not really keep in touch with what the community wants, because the community is, for one thing, the player base continues to shrink. I mean, the player retention has been bad, so they clearly need to be doing something big to try and address that, and they're just not. I don't think this is going to make anyone particularly happy. I will be surprised. You know, I follow other creators who cover this game. I will be surprised if any of them are particularly enthusiastic about anything in this update. Well, so those are my thoughts. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm not going to lie. There was more here. I mean, I'm probably going to edit it down a little bit. But yeah, disappointing, to say the least. Anyway... I'll have a full review up of the current state of the game, probably in the next few days, weeks, something like that. If you're interested in watching me just do playthroughs of random single-player games, come over to the stream. Some of that stuff is going to make its way to YouTube sooner or later. But until next time, folks, Trouble T Cat out.